Hey, today on Archery Talk 101, we're going to have a special guest on with us. We're going to talk all kinds of fun stuff on archery. Hi, my name is Roy Canterbury. I'm going to be your host in Archery Talk 101, and we have Ben on the line with us. Welcome to the show, Ben.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I really appreciate being here.
How about if you introduce yourselves, tell us something about yourself.
Okay, well, my name is Ben Summers, and I am the vice president at True Ball and Excel Archery. I actually have a brother and sister here who are also vice presidents, and then my dad is the president CEO. And I've worked here since, gosh, I will be 47 tomorrow, and I've worked here since I was probably 10 years old. So
Oh,
it's been my whole life.
yeah,
But
it's been a while.
yeah, just a little bit. But I've kind of like grown with the company. I started assembling things here and then kind of did marketing for a while. I did our first websites and did our advertising. I've been in charge of assembly. I guess, directly or indirectly in charge of machining and production. And we have about 133 people who work here in Virginia in a factory. So we make everything here in the United States, design it, build it, and machine it. Do pretty much everything right here in Virginia and Madison Heights, Virginia. So the great place to be and great place to live, and a lot of good people that work here. So
Now,
pretty
if they
proud.
wanted to get a hold of you on your website, where would they go to?
It would be trueball.com. That's TRUBALL.com. And so you can pretty much find, we make release aids, we make sights, we make stabilizers, we make scopes, we make finger tabs, and a couple accessories for just about everything else on the bow. So it's kind of cool. We do almost everything. I have an uncle that owns QAD Archery. He makes rests and broadheads. So between what my uncle makes about a mile from here and then what my dad and the rest of us make over here, we make everything except the bow, I would say. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, that is pretty cool.
Yeah. But then I also I was on the ATA board. I don't know if you know much about the Archery Trade Association, the ATA.
Yeah, I do,
And
but our audience may not.
yeah, well, it's a collection of about it's between 400 and 600 manufacturers in archery and the outdoors industry, and also a collection of about I don't know, it's ranged from 600 to 1,200 archery dealers across the world. So it's been really cool. But I was on the board for that, was the chairman of the board for 4 years, all the way up until COVID hit, and have been in the Speaker of the House's office in the U.S. Capitol building representing archery, and done a lot of other things too to really promote the sport. So it's been a really cool life in the archery industry and still going really strong. So but that's kind of my background.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Yeah, I know
Yeah.
I've used some of your releases and stuff in the past, and
Yeah.
um, I have your website up. So let's just take a look at it. For those watching, you're going to be able to see the website. Those listening, well, you can go to the Archery Talk 101 Facebook group and watch the video, or go out to my YouTube channel, and I'll leave links in the description on to get there. But here's your page where it comes up, and a couple of different releases. Um, what's your most popular selling release?
Probably that one right there, the HBC Flex, is our most popular tournament style release, the one on the bottom there. And that one
Oh,
is
this
a
one.
Rio
Okay.
Wild signature series, and he has just been hired about 2 or 3 months ago to be the compound bow coach for the Korean national team. So
Oh,
he's
cool.
actually living in South Korea right now. So that's a really cool thing. So there's a possibility, from what I understand, that compound bows will be in the Olympics coming up. and
Oh,
I
that'd be
guess it would
good.
be in LA. So like the Koreans have hired him as I guess just kind of like dating the I guess just to try to get their people ready in case it does happen. And
Yeah.
I kind of think, you know, if they're making that huge step, and then India has actually hired an Italian guy named Sergio Pagni, who has won Vegas, to coach their compound team. I think that there's a really good chance that compound bows could be in the Olympics, and maybe they know something that I don't.
Yeah, yeah, I know sometimes that a sport will show up as a exhibition sport first,
Sure.
just to see the interest in it, and then go into a full-fledged event.
Yeah. Well, the week after next, I get to go to Berlin. It's the World Championships in Germany there, and I'm going to be able to like meet everybody from all over the world, and it's the first Olympic qualifier, so that'll be really cool. And then 2 weeks after that, I'll be in Paris, and it's the Olympic test event right at the base of the Eiffel Tower, right where the Olympics will be held a year later. So
Oh,
um, I've got a
yeah,
busy August.
yeah, it sounds like it. You're going to be flying all over the world.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah,
But yeah,
that's
this is some of our these are some of our high-end signature series releases. The Abyss Extension Flex and the Abyss Flex are Jesse Broadwater releases that he has helped our designers actually come up with ideas for, and our designers have basically built a lot of what they envisioned. And then the GOAT, the greatest of all time, and the HPC, which stands for Honey Badger Claw Flex. Those are two really popular releases by Rio Wild, like I say, who now is the coach for the South Korean team. So it's kind of a cool thing. I mean, this is just the tip of the iceberg for what we do, but I
oh
guess
yeah.
what's cool about our products is we go all over the world and all over the United States at ASA and IBO and NFAA tournaments, and we've done a couple TAC events now. But we're just basically taking equipment that is the best of the best and used by the top athletes in the world, and also using a lot of that technology in our hunting products too. So you'll see us in every, if there's a good dealer out there, they're going to have a True Ball release in their store and an Excel site in their store. Like we try to promote our dealer network, and like, because they're the ones that we believe are the ones really building up our sport, the coaches at those stores, and then the people who have put a lot of effort out to actually have a store all over the country, all over the world. So we do our best to try to point people to buy things from their local dealers. And then secondarily, I mean, you've got Bass Pro Shops, Cabela's, and places like that that are very good places to find high quality hunting equipment too. So then you'll have places like Lancaster Archery and other places like that that sell online if a dealer doesn't have it and can't get it right away. So there's a lot of different places you can find our equipment all over the world. So that's
Yeah,
cool.
and I had my own shop for a while, and how you work there is a little bit differently than when you're working at Bass Pro and Cabela's, and I worked at both those places. And the advantage of a shop is you pretty much are sure that the person behind the counter knows what they're doing.
Usually so.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you usually, not always.
Yeah, not
Sometimes you
always,
don't,
but
but
for the most
it,
part.
generally for most part you do. When you go into other, like the Bass Pro, the Cabela's, the Shields, the Dicks, all those other chain stars, you may have somebody that knows what they're doing, you may not. You
Yeah.
might get the guy that applied for the fishing department and didn't have an opening, so, well, got one in archery. Well, I
Yeah,
shot a bow when I was a kid once. Okay, you
exactly.
qualify. To when I worked there, we had many years of experience working on bows, so and instructing and everything else, so we knew what we was doing when I worked at both those places. But I think we're kind of not the norm,
Yeah,
but you don't know. And that's where, the new person going in, they're just kind of, they're lost, and that's where, get with somebody, find an archery club and go talk to them, and find out, they're going to tell you which place to go and who to talk to when you get there. You
exactly.
know, like if I know they're going over to Bass Pro over here, I was like, oh, okay, well, go talk to Steve. Going to Cabella's, like, I'll meet you there.
Yeah,
Because all of a sudden what's going on and not there anymore. So, you kind of learn what's in your area and where to go to, and or send to the one and only pro shop that's in the area. But so, what's your most popular hunting release?
well, for the most popular one we have is called the Bandit, and if it's a wrist strap release, and it's mainly because of the price tag. And if you go into a store, like anywhere, you'll probably find the Bandit release in that store, like if any release. So it's probably down, if you scroll down a little bit more, like right there,
The
the
Bandit right there.
Bandit right
Okay.
there, and then the shooter right next to it is very similar to it. But it's just your bare minimum release that will work for any kind of hunting situation. And it has adjustable draw length that's fairly easy to adjust. But the cool part about our wrist strap releases is that when you pull the trigger, it opens the jaw, and then you just loosen, let up, and it will close around the D loop. And then you can draw back and then just pull that trigger, and it's a really, really crisp, clean trigger. But the ball part, we had a ball that would attach to the bowstring, but we also have a chrome plated steel ball bearing inside of the head there. So that's where the word true ball, those two reasons are why it's called true ball releases. So it's kind of cool if you could see inside. I wish you could open it up and see that ball
Yeah.
on the inside.
To see it, why they're that way.
But yeah,
Now for the beginner, that's good for beginners because they don't want to spend a lot of money. But
sure.
me as somebody that's been shooting for a while, and I shoot back tension release. I'm used to triggers that don't move when they go
Yeah.
off, because I'm actually pulling the trigger. I'm using my back muscles to fire it, like most of your top shooters are doing.
Yeah.
Which one would you recommend for somebody that's in a situation where they want a high-end release, but they still want a wrist strap that's going to be easy to use and reliable, and not have a lot of trigger pull movement in it
Yeah.
when you pull it?
Well, you have, if you scroll down a little bit right there, there's the short and sweet hybrid, and the beast hybrid that are really, really great triggers. That was actually, the short and sweet was actually used by Deep Martrillis to win Las Vegas. It's one of the very few wrist strap releases that's ever been used to win that tournament. Most of the time they're high-end handle releases, but that one's a really, really crisp trigger and really light. If you like that, it can be switched so that the trigger faces slightly forward like you're seeing, or hooked back, or there's another one that it can actually go forward a little bit. But the other nice part about that is if you notice where the hook is in relation to the trigger, it's right in line. So
Right.
you're like getting the maximum amount of draw length that you can get out of that trigger and the hook. And it's extremely easy if you're out in a hunting situation, very easy to load that with no noise whatsoever. And it works extremely well. So that's a really, really good option. If you're in a tournament situation, like you won't typically see the short and sweet out on like anywhere in a tournament situation unless somebody's a beginner. You'll see some of the other ones if you go back to a different, like you'll see people using the execution GS there, the center line and the extension RT. Those are the three most popular ones if people are using a wrist strap in a tournament situation. And the execution GS, that one's more of just a high end. You'll notice the difference between some of the more low end triggers, and then this one, which has flip sears on the inside of it. It doesn't load up with a lot of the poundage that some of the other releases out there could. And just a really, really high end trigger. The center line is another one that it looks kind of unusually shaped, but it feels extremely good in your hand. And you can see it's got the little jaw there that you can only see two of the hooks on that picture, but there's another one inside. It's a tri-star hook system is what we call it. But it just basically rotates to the next hook. And it's really, really quick, quiet, and easy. So if you're using it for hunting or you're using it for tournaments, it's going to work really, really well. And then the other one that is up there, it's a completely different concept altogether. That extension RT, that one is what they call a pull-through release. And it basically has that same kind of hook system that you just saw. But what you do is you actually draw it back with the trigger actually pulled, where that gray thumb piece on the side pulled, and you hold that down, and then you get all the way back, and then you let up on it, and then pull harder into it, into the wall of your bow, and that pressure pulls through, and that's what the pressure is what actually activates the trigger, the hook there. So it has really no trigger per se that you're pulling, but it's teaching you back tension, basically how to like basically pull through that release instead of jerking with one little finger and having a kind of a snatch of a situation there. So
this trigger doesn't actually fire it then?
It doesn't, no.
Oh.
Yeah. So it's kind of crazy.
Yeah. Here's some of the descriptions of it. Yeah, because that's what you should be doing. And you get back to full draw, and then you release it. That's kind of like a safety or something, isn't it? Then
exactly,
where it keeps it, and then it knows how much pressure's on it. When you get more pressure, that's when it goes off, right? Is that how that works?
Exactly, and it's adjustable too, so you can have it go off fairly quickly. You can also adjust it so that when you immediately let up on the trigger, it relaxes, like it actually fires immediately. That's called relaxed tension, but that's a little bit more advanced.
Yeah, I think I still like a little bit of pull through. So as soon as you release it, don't go off on you, because you get there and you're settling in, and in part of you're let go of it and you're not really ready, and then you pull through, and I kind of like, I think I'd have to have a little bit of a delay.
I hear you.
It's like my handheld. I have a Carter Chocolate Addiction. It's the one I mainly use, and I have the hardest trigger I can in it, and you can't feel that trigger moving at all. And then I forget which one it was. It was a True Ball one that I got in. That was, instead of being $150 at the time, it was like $60. And I got it from the rep, and it's like, oh, that's pretty good. It's not too bad, but I feel the trigger movement just slightly. But that's difference when I can get two of those for one of the other ones.
Oh wow.
You know, so it gets you into it. You have a little bit of trigger movement, because I'm sensitive to trigger movement, because I stopped thinking about my aiming. And on my wrist strap, I have the hook on mine, which nice I like about the hook, because I don't have to look at it to hook the release up. I just find the loop. I know where it's at. I hook it up and go. I don't have to look for it.
Exactly.
The jaws, I thought it's like you got to open them up, trying to find them, and starting out, that's fine. But once you get going a little bit more, you're going to want something a little more advanced to advance your shooting. But beginners, last time they can't tell the difference.
Yeah.
If you got one with movement or one without movement, and I like to do, with when I had my store, if they wasn't sure, we need a stabilizer to help the balance and a few other things, and I'd put on the cheapest one I had, the $10, $20 stabilizer, and then I'd take it off, put the high dollar one on, maybe a $60 or $80 one, and can tell the difference. Nope, buy the cheap one. You're not ready for the expensive one, because why spend the money? And
Yeah.
that's where, there's the whole line here of releases that you can go in for beginner. What I used to do when I back when I was selling the Nova bows, there you had 3 different sizes, right and left-handed, and you could buy them at Walmart. Everybody sold those bows, and to make mine different, not only I included because it come with a sight, the rest, and a quiver. I included 6 arrows with tips, fletched however you want them fletched, whatever veins colors you wanted, and also put in, like the low end true ball. Like I forget the name of that one. It's I think it was called a Patriot or something way back
Okay.
20
Yeah.
years ago.
Yeah.
And it was an inexpensive one. I was buying them wholesale for $11 on them for 20. And I included
Yeah.
one of those with my bow, and then I put, little string dampeners on them. We used to call them proof balls. Would take
Okay.
the plastic skirt material you make for like bass jigs,
Yeah.
and we'd cut them and we'd tie them around there and it'd stretch and pull and make a little bitty ball on
Nice.
your string for little
I
dampeners.
remember those.
And we'd go through and set them all up. So you've got to set them up, you got the bow set up correctly, and also give them a shooting instruction with it, and nobody can price compare
Yeah.
the same bow. But
Yeah.
if you buy from somebody else, I'm going to charge you $40 to set it up.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to charge you $100 an hour for shooting instruction. So
Right.
yeah, I had one guy call me and say, can I do it? It's like, you can man it, but if it's not right, you're going to pay me $40 for that. Plus you're going to have to pay me, $100 an hour for shooting instructions. Like, oh, I'll take it back and get buy from you.
Yeah.
It's that extra thing. That's a service you get at a shop that you don't get from, just place that you go in. It's like, I want that bow,
Yeah.
and they go set it up, and it might be set up right, it might be not, But yeah, I wanted to kind of take a look at some of these because there's always a whole bunch of new stuff coming out.
Yeah.
And while we had somebody on here that knows about the true ball releases, but yeah, we've kind of gone over that. The beginner one, clear down here, the Bandit. These are all going to be a little bit lower, and this looks like it's fairly adjustable. This one's the most adjustable here.
Yep.
This one, if you have to go so short, you'd have to cut that rubber down, wouldn't you? Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll never forget, like kind of tag teaming off of your story. I walked into a Walmart one night. It was the night before opening season, and I was trying to get some the scent killing spray, and basically like walked in and saw people picking out arrows to match their bow. It was opening night. They didn't even know how to shoot their bow, but they were picking different arrow spines and different, like, just based on, oh, this one looks pretty and that one looks cool, that one looks like it might kill something, and I'm like, holy crap, like you guys have no idea what you're doing. So
No.
that's where, I mean, it really helps to go to a place where you have a knowledgeable bow technician that knows how to set up a bow.
Yeah, that definitely, it's well worth it. Even if you have to pay them to set up your bow, a bow that's set up correctly is so much more fun to shoot.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep.
It don't make you a better shot. It just, makes it easier for you to make a good shot.
Exactly. Yep. Yeah. I mean, if you have good equipment, it's a whole lot easier than if you don't. And there are basic things that you need, but then there's a lot of I would call it bougie type stuff that adds on a lot of extras.
Well, and you don't need all the real fancy stuff. Starting out,
Yeah.
if you know what your draw length is and you know what your dominant eye is, you get a right or left-handed bow, and you know what you can handle. Don't go out and get a 70-pound bow that only goes down to 60 when you're struggling to pull 50.
Exactly.
That's the worst thing you do. And worst thing is, I've seen some of these guys on TV shows that are pulling way too much weight and pulling wrong to start with. You see some of the pull across their chest and then raise up. Well, start with, you're using your arms to draw the bow, not your back, because you can't put your back in it when drawing across your chest. And then all this extra movement. And I always told, when I get somebody new, it's like, okay, if you can't shoot, if you can't draw like a deer is basically standing looking at you, if you can't slowly draw back it's too much weight. If
Exactly.
you have to do all this
Sky drawing,
gyration,
everything. Yeah.
drawing in the sky and pulling down, and
Yeah.
then when you think about it, how strong is your arm pulling down
Yeah.
as opposed to pulling up or pushing out or pushing in? Not very strong, but pushing straight out, you're real strong. So
Yeah.
I always taught, when you draw, push that arm out and pull the other one back. You're pushing the elbow back,
Exactly.
pulling those back muscles together. And when that bow goes off, that hand should point straight to your target.
Yep.
You see a lot of people, they have their arm off in the front. They think, okay, I have an open stance. Yeah, right. So you don't hit your arm. Well, I don't shoot up. I shoot straight out. I don't hit my arm
Oh
because I
yeah.
got the right grip.
Yeah.
If you grip it like a baseball bat, you're going to hit that arm every time.
Exactly.
You you
Yeah.
get that arm turned out, you don't hit it.
Yeah.
And the right too long a draw link, you hit your arm. And that's what somebody shows me where they hit the arm. It's like, well, either you're holding it really, really wrong or draw link's too long. Let's like your draw link's too long. Well, how do you know?
Yeah.
I've set up hundreds of bows,
Yeah.
if not more.
That's cool. Yeah, I was actually trained by the coaches at JMU, James Madison University, about 2 hours from here.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, and I mean, I talk with Olympic athletes every day, and like people from all over the world, but yeah, they taught me how to do it, I would say, the right way, if there is a right way. I mean, there's one thing they taught me was that, like, everybody has a different way, and if you start saying that this way is wrong, like, you'll find somebody that's winning an Olympic gold medal with doing it that way. So like it just, there's probably basics, I would say, that they taught me that I really, really appreciated. And then I ended up becoming the coach at Liberty University, like over here in Lynchburg, and actually like was coaching against them. But we've always just been really, really great friends. So and I would say pretty much everyone in archery that way, and at the collegiate level, the coaches are pretty good friends. So
Yeah. Well, it's kind of a community, and I've heard of archers telling us like they were struggling with something on the line while they're competing, and the person they're competing with is helping them out.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's a great sport when you think about that kind of, that, like, something that you can say that about it. That's a big deal.
Yeah. Well, and in coaching, I teach a specific way.
Yeah.
This is how I teach you to do it. And I'm going to tell you why I'm teaching you how to do that. And then
Yeah.
after I do that, okay, we're going to modify it so it works better for you.
Right.
This is the basics. And then if it's not working, because I taught martial arts for many years, and then,
Nice.
and then I learned back tension release, incorporated into the martial arts. And so a lot of the things I teach is based on a lot of the martial arts background.
Nice.
And like the first thing I'll tell them is like, but for gripping the bow, actually, you don't grip the bow, but your hand placement on there. I'll ask them, you have any martial arts training? And if they say yes, okay, heel palm strike. That's your pressure point. And if they don't, then I got to explain what that is.
Yeah.
For those listening and watching, a heel palm strike is hit in between, not the meaty part on the little finger side or the thumb side, because that'll actually turn your hand. It's right in the middle. And that's the pressure point in a push with a bow. Because if you don't, you're putting pressure on the side. And we use that in a lot of martial arts, that concept, to lock your joints up and throw you.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you put the pressure in the right spot, your hand's going to turn and lock up.
Right.
Well, you want to take all that out. So I added a lot of that in there, doing martial arts for over 20 years, you kind of learn some of these things, and
Right.
and stance, and I teach lining the toes up with your target. Now, when you're hunting, you ain't ever going to get in that position.
No,
But
there's never a perfect
it just helps you
situation.
in target. But then if you want to try, okay, stand a weird stance, but you still got to point towards your target.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
a lot of things we used to do when I was on the rifle team in high school is we would get our position, like in shooting prone or standing or kneeling or whatever position was in. And we'd close our eyes, breathe in, breathe out, open our eyes. If we're not on target, we'd adjust our body. Breathe in, breathe out until we can breathe in and breathe out and open our eyes and be on target. We didn't fire.
Yeah.
So then you breathe in, breathe out, squeeze the trigger. And it's the same thing in archery. If you want to find out where your arrow's going to naturally go, draw back with your eyes closed and then open them up and see where you're pointing. That's where you're going to hit. Maybe not where your target is. So now you got to adjust your feet, adjust something. If your hand is off, I tell us, like, if your hand isn't positioned right, let down. You're never going to get it positioned right at full draw.
All right.
Yeah, let down. Now, some bows, I've had one bow that was like near impossible to let down because the cams just all of a sudden they just bam,
Yeah,
they just take
I'm
off
not a
on
fan
you.
of that.
And
I
those are
I
hard to
don't
let
like the
down on.
bows that, you know, they don't have the deep valley in them, like, and you're literally like kind of relax a little bit and they pull out of your hand. That drives me crazy. But
Yeah, I like a little bit of a valley, not a big one, but I like a
yeah,
little bit of a valley in there. And
yeah,
you know, fortunately, the bows I have now don't have those real hard cams in them.
yeah, exactly.
My hunting bow is a 2001 PSE, and
Nice.
my target bow is a 2003 PSE.
Well, that's awesome.
I do have a newer bear.
Yeah.
I forget which model it was. It's in the snow camel. When I worked at
Okay.
Cabela's, it's one they got in as return. And we got
Nice.
returns. We could buy them for like a $900 bow. I think I paid $150 or something like that
Oh
for it.
wow.
You know, because it needed strings because those were messed up. There
Yeah.
was a bolt that was messed up on the string dampener. So I
Yeah.
had to do some repairs on it. And so I did repairs. I didn't set it up yet.
Nice.
Haven't even tried to shoot it yet.
You know, I mean, there's really a lot in what you just said too, because I think a lot of people think that they have to go out and buy the newest bow and the newest equipment. And, you know, we build our stuff here at Trueball and Excel to last as long as it possibly can. And it sounds like your PSE was built the same way. And,
Right.
and like,
Well,
I don't know. I mean, there's like only so many things that can be different. And I like, I love it when like people don't have to like go out and shame somebody. Oh, you don't have the brand new bow for this year. Like, oh, you're not good enough. And like when you can literally go to a store and literally like see, okay, well, you know, they've got like a couple bows here that, you know, people are using that like, you know, it's still a great bow like several years later, and they build them to make them last and make them
right.
nice. And you know, the crazy part about it is like I've got a guy here that used to work in China, and he would work at archery stores in China, and he tells me that they have a specific kind of Hoyt bow that the people in China love, and I think it's an ultra elite, but it's a really old bow, and if you have one of those, you can sell it for like $800 or $900 in China.
Oh, yeah.
It's crazy, but that's the one that they like. And but the thing of it is like if you're buying a bow that's a good brand, it's gonna last and last. And
Right. As long as you take
you're
care of
really
it, don't dry
confident
fire
in
it,
it.
change the strings and when they
Yeah,
need it and take
exactly.
care of it. And like yeah, my hunting bow's 2001. My handheld release, the Carter,
Yeah,
is 2002, I think,
yep,
and the true ball I have is right at that same time.
yeah,
My Scott release I use for hunting as a backup because I use my Carter because it locks onto the loop.
yeah.
I bought it used from a guy in the late 90s.
Wow.
So this release is 30 years old and I still use it. It's my cold weather release
Yeah.
or my backup release. Because when I go
That's
hunting,
awesome.
I have my handheld, I have the backup handheld, and I have the wrist strap. So it gets really cold, I go to the wrist strap. I've dropped my release out of the tree stand. Like, grab another one.
Yeah.
I carry two backups with me.
Oh yeah. You know, I mean, the only problem we ever have is when people actually will draw, particularly the handhelds, and they'll let it go, and it crashes into the bow, and that makes it fun. But but other than
Yeah,
that, I mean, we like our leases, even in those situations, have been known to stand up sometimes, and I don't like that to happen because you never know what kind of like damage it's gone underneath,
yeah,
under like inside the release. Um, but yeah, I mean that's about the main problem that we have with our releases is people letting them go during the full draw during the draw process. So
yeah.
makes it fun to see.
I know, some of the warranties are pretty good on some of the releases. I haven't
Yeah.
ever had to use one for Drew Ball, but I did for my Carter.
Yeah.
Not the one I have now, the one I had before.
Okay.
I don't use the knurled knob on it
Okay.
because I bear it into my hand, clear up into the knuckle, because I don't want to have it out here. I don't want to, I'm not pulling the trigger. I just have it right here and go. Now,
Exactly.
if I tighten my fist up, I can force it to go off, but I just have it sitting back here, and I dropped it one time.
Yeah.
Guess what it hit? The trigger.
Oh, nice.
Broke it.
Nice.
So I called him up and I says, hey, I dropped release, broke the trigger. And I said, well, send it back. So I paid like $5 for shipping to ship it back to him. And I said, now I don't use the knurled knob on it, so don't bother putting one on. And it come back without the knurled knob fixed, didn't charge me nothing.
Nice.
And when you find a company that does that, you kind of stick with them. And
Yeah.
I ended up losing that release, and that's when I had to buy my other release. But I had it in my pocket, and when I got out to clean the deer, I couldn't find it for nothing. And it was in my pocket when I started walking out.
Oh
So
gosh.
I went back,
Oh.
I couldn't find it.
That's gotta hurt.
Yeah. Yeah. And then the other one, I don't remember which one it was. I had it at the back of the truck and lost it. So I got a metal detector. And sure enough, it's right there at the back with the truck where we had it. So I found it, and then
Oh,
I
nice.
ended up losing it later and never did find it then because I
Wow.
had no clue where to even go look.
That's
Yeah,
crazy.
that hurts when you lose a release like that. And fortunately, out in the store, so I only had to pay wholesale. I didn't have to pay retail. But
Yeah.
still, it still hurts when you're paying $100 to $150 wholesale.
Yeah. That's a lot of money.
Yeah. And now I don't know what they're running now, the handhelds, at the higher end.
Yeah, they could go 230 to 350. So and like we keep adding features, and like we still sell those mid-range. What is mid-range today is what was really popular back in the olden days, or I would
Right.
say, and so we still sell those at affordable prices, but then people want more and more features, and so like we'll make anything for you, but like we gotta also pay our people to work here. So
Right. Yeah. You're not doing it for free.
Exactly. Who knows?
Yeah, you can't do it for free.
Yeah.
You got to get something for it. If you're giving something free away to somebody, it's because they're helping you sell it. And same thing when we had our staff shooters.
Yeah.
They were staff shooters because they go out and they're promoting the store. And I had one of my shooters, he'd come back, we did, the regular tune on a bow, and we had a super tune where we'd actually do the third axis and everything else and just make it down just perfect.
Wow.
And he saw a lot of those going like, hey, you need one of these. And the weirdest one is the guy come in, paid for all this, and what's the first thing he does? He gets home, he starts making changes to it.
Oh my gosh.
Come on,
You
it
gotta
was
love
set up
that.
perfect,
Yeah.
and yeah, they just
Yeah.
kind of, the same thing when I learned back tension release. We paid all this money to learn it,
Right.
back in 95. It was like $200-300 for a 3-day course, and that's just a couple hours, 3 nights, and go through all this, and then they learn it and go right back to what they're doing before.
You
Like,
gotta love it.
why? Why did you bother? And it's one of those things that when I first heard about back tension release, it's like, well, how do you know what you're going to hit? I never understood it, because I was just from firearm world, you pull the trigger when you're ready to fire.
Right.
Shooting on around too, you get used to it. Now you're just using the tip of your finger, but when once I learned it and figured out, well, it's where your fine motor skills are. In a firearm, you're not using them to aim. You're just sitting there, and your fine motor skill is squeezing the trigger. Well, on a bow, it's opposite. You need your fine motor skills to aim.
Exactly.
So you don't want to pull a trigger. And
Yeah.
I've done that. I've found somebody, I was in taking one of the classes, and instructor, I found he's an archer. And I said, I'm give you first lesson for free. Quit pulling the trigger. Or just asked me to use a restrap, and he says, yeah. This is okay. First lesson free. Quit pulling trigger. He says, what? Yeah, you're pulling trigger, aren't you? Yeah.
What
How
you're
did I
supposed to do with
know?
the trigger, right?
Quit pulling the trigger. Then you go and explain to them, it's like, focus on something off at a distance, concentrate on it. Like if you breaks eye contact, you're going to die.
Yeah.
And now, without thinking about your finger, make it move. They can't make it move. Or if they do, they say, yeah, they did. Okay, switch to the other hand. And then
Wow.
it's like, and if they don't get it, then it's like, okay, we're done. You can't be
Yeah.
helped. I'll go on somebody
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
is going to admit that there's the things going on here.
Yeah, and it's crazy. I mean, back to my coaching days, I remember there were some people that, I mean, you just like you tell them and they don't do it. And then there's other people that will listen and take it to heart and actually make changes. And those are the people that get better. And if a lot of people that just put more and more time and more effort into it, like, I mean, they do really well with it. And you really appreciate people who are coachable and people who are actually going to listen to what you have to say. So
Yeah. And we don't know everything, for everybody, but you know what? We've seen enough that we can probably pretty
exactly.
much figure out what your problem is.
Yeah.
Especially if we can watch you. And now with the phones, the phones take such great pictures, and you can blow them up and slow motion them and all kinds of
Oh
stuff.
yeah.
Back when I was first learning, you had VCRs. Your phones didn't have cameras in them. If you had a phone, it was dial only. No
Yeah.
texting, just you can make a phone call.
Yep.
And now with the videos, it's just so much nicer. And we could be having a coaching session right now,
Yeah.
because I can see what you're doing, and I can give you pointers on right on here. And I've done that with a guy, and I took him from, but he's in the archery group. He's been in it for quite a while. He knows who he is, but I won't say his name. But he had
Yeah.
oh, wow. I was like, okay, put myself on the spot. Okay, I'm not gonna remember his name, but he had probably 6-inch group, and spent about 45 minutes on the phone with it, on the Zoom call with him, and then a couple weeks later, he sent me a picture, 3 arrows touching.
Wow.
Yeah, that's what a half hour to an hour with a good coach can do for you, and
Yeah.
I've done that many times.
I was trying to find I've got a little a note card, a business card here that doubled as uh like a SD card reader. And there's a dealer that I visited in the Netherlands, and he had a computer, a camera up above you, a camera from the side, and then a camera from almost like a 45-degree angle up front. And he would take video of you and then record it, and he could literally like have you be in this thing, and he would be able to critique all the different angles that you were shooting. And I've seen that in various different places. I've seen it in Korea. I've seen it in like Mel Nichols has it in Arizona.
Yeah,
I mean, it's really crazy. Like when you actually like start like comparing what people are doing to what you're trying to coach them, it's a huge deal to be able to have that
yeah.
feedback. So,
And you can get a lot of feedback from that video. And I know, even watching the video of me shooting, it's like, that ain't what I'm telling people to do. Why are you doing that? They're like, okay, this is terrible. What's going on? I was like,
easier
okay,
said than done,
let me
right?
go back. Okay, here's what I need to do. Watch my video on how to do it. And then like that, okay.
Yeah, do as I say, not as I do,
Yeah,
right?
right. Well, and sometimes, I had one guy who's telling me that this one guy, he has a weird position that he shoots out of. And it come about because they were just goofing around, see how kind of weird position they shoot. And he actually shot really great doing this weird position.
Yeah,
And that's why he shoots now, because
yeah,
it worked for him.
yeah, yeah,
That's just like, I'm going to teach you how I want you to do it, and then I'm going to modify it for you to work the way it works for you. Because how you do it is not exactly how I do it, and how,
yeah,
well, the next person, not all of us can do it exactly the same. And you learn that, not in just teaching archery, but in teaching martial arts, because you're teaching a technique. The technique is done this way, but we
yeah,
have to modify it because maybe you're not as strong, or maybe you're you're shorter, or you're taller than the opponent. You got to
Exactly.
do different things, and the same thing here. It's like you've got it all. Well, archery is a martial art.
It is. Yeah.
It's just, and there's a lot of different stuff in here, and there's some variety of styles in archery. I've interviewed a few people in here from different countries, and their style is different than the way we do it.
Exactly.
Their rules and their tournaments are different than what we do.
Yeah.
Some score differently, different
Right.
ways of scoring. And
Yeah.
I always thought, they 3Ds have the hunter class.
Yeah.
Well, the hunter class is just using hunting equipment.
Exactly.
It should be a real hunting class.
Yeah.
You're scored -5, 8, and 10.
Yeah.
Foam is -5. It's not a 5 points because you just wounded the animal. Wounded
Yeah.
animals -5 points. And
It
then you
should
have
be.
your 8 and your 10. And then if you
Yeah.
want to do a 12, then you can do 12 rings. But that's the way hunting classes should be
That's
scored, I think.
that's real
-5,
life.
8, and 10.
I agree with you.
Because
Yeah.
so it's like, well, I'll just shoot foam. And then I had one guy's like, yeah, then on some other tournaments that they scored a little differently, and he'd purposely missed because missing was worth more than making a bad shot.
Wow.
And so it's like, okay, shoot, because you get 5 points, it's not bad, but you're down 5 points. If you
Right.
hit a -5, now you're down 15 from what you should have had.
Yeah.
That would change things up completely different.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, it would teach more ethical shots and like get
Right.
people actually to try and like practice more. So I agree with you.
Yeah. And you have different shots, different angles, and it's like, if you say, okay, I don't think I can make this, take a 0. Better than a -5.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, I'm going to choose not to take the shot. I'm going to take a 0.
Yeah.
And then it makes you think in real hunting situation.
Right.
This not just a hunter class, but this is a hunting class.
Yeah.
And then they score differently. It's like, I think that'd be kind of fun to shoot.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean,
Be
seriously,
different.
like target where you, yeah, there is no ethical shot and then you just don't take it. That's pretty interesting concept. But hey, what martial art did you teach?
Hapkido.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I'm taking Muay Thai and Jiu-Jitsu right now. So
Oh yeah, real
good fun.
similar type arts where you have a lot of joint locks, arm bars, throws.
Yeah,
We also did the kicks and the punches. Everything Taekwondo did. And we had a lot of judo throws, mix them all together and add joint locks, and that was Hapkido.
that's awesome. Yeah, I love punching a heavy bag. It's one of my favorite things to do. You can get a lot of stress out that way.
Yeah.
It's kind of
Yeah, you
crazy.
can, as long as you're punching it right and don't hurt your hand.
That's the truth. I have broken the knuckle right here one
Oh
time
yeah.
with the glove on, so it's been fun. I've broken 2 ribs doing that jiu-jitsu as well, so it's been crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, lots of joint locks like the arm bars, and
Oh yeah.
you learn how to repair dislocated joints.
Yeah.
When you crank too hard on them, you learn how to fix them. And that's one of the guys in there. It's like, okay, where he learned it from. His master said, if I'm going to teach how to hurt somebody, I'm going to teach you how to heal them as well.
Wow.
So we did a lot of healing in there as well. If you crank too much on one, we knew how to work the joint, get back together. If
That's
you jam
awesome.
your fingers, you got to straighten them out right away. Otherwise, they end up being a permanent kink. And so you learn to curl your fingers when you're sparring.
Wow. That's cool. Need to go train with you guys.
Yeah, it's fun. I haven't done that in a while, but I know. I think I'm old enough that I don't know if I really want to put my body through that kind of torture again. It was
Yeah.
sure a lot of fun when I did it, though.
Yeah, I know. I haven't gotten smart enough, I guess, to stop because I was doing it last night. But
Well, you're not quite as old as I am.
yeah, I'm not far.
Yeah. How old did you say you was going to be?
I'll be 47 tomorrow.
Oh, 47.
Yeah.
Oh, I've got almost 50% more. I'm
Oh
68.
wow.
So
That's cool. My son was born on my birthday, so he turns 18 tomorrow. So we're gonna have
oh
a couple hours here. But yeah, it's gonna be fun. But
yeah,
yeah,
that will be a lot of fun. Go celebrate. He turns 18, and on your
yeah.
birthday, you both have a cool birthday. And
Oh yeah. Yeah, ever since he was born on my birthday, I kind of like I don't know. I really like grew up in a family where like we didn't really celebrate birthdays really hard, but yeah, once he started having birthdays, I kind of like just kind of tag teamed with him, and it's been pretty fun since I finally got a birthday party. So
well, and now that he's getting older, now then you can start doing stuff that you can do as adults.
oh
Just
yeah.
just the two of you because it's your birthday.
Oh
Give each
yeah.
other a birthday present of a cool hunt or something.
That would be cool. Yeah, I think I've got it's called the Outlaw Olympics because my son's he's got a mullet and the big truck, and all of his friends have big trucks and mullets and stuff. So we're going out and we're gonna throw cornhole and like do all kinds of like ladder ball and all kinds of other games like that. And then I've got little gift cards to like different places like Advance Auto Parts and Taco Bell and like one of the sporting goods companies around here that will remain nameless because I don't want to promote one over the other. But
Yeah.
but yeah, yeah, so it should be a lot of fun. And then they're like, "Oh, it's right down by the river, so we could we could go fishing afterwards." I said, that sounds like fun. So yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, it
should be
does sound like a lot of fun.
yeah. It should be enjoyable. Who's like playing around with your head back there?
Oh, that was my wife.
Okay.
Because I have the background set up so you don't see there, and she comes
Yeah,
in, all of a sudden this hand will start showing up,
I
and
saw that. I was like, wow, she
she
must like you or
she handed
something.
me something she bought from me at the store, and yeah, yeah, it's kind of eerie sometimes. All of a sudden, a face will appear up over here because she's standing behind me, and then it's
That's
it's kind
funny.
of it's kind of cool.
Well, do you tell people where you're located?
I'm located in Nebraska, in
Oh,
between
nice.
Omaha and Lincoln.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, I'm in Virginia, a little town called Lynchburg, basically, but it's actually like the most average city in the United States. Like
Oh yeah,
average population, average income, average everything. So it's yeah, it's not boring. It's a really good place to live, but we don't have a lot of crime and don't have a lot of really bad things. We have a lot of good things that happen here too. So I'm sure I've been out to Nebraska and I haven't been to Lincoln per se, but like I've been close. It's a great place too.
well, and if you're traveling through, you're going to go past Omaha and Lincoln.
Oh
They're
yeah.
right on 80 as you're going through, but and you're not too far from me because I'm not too far from Lincoln and Omaha. Kind of take
Nice.
Lincoln and Omaha, and I kind of about halfway between them, same distance to both of them. And those around here that know Fremont, which is another town around here, I'm kind of right centered in the middle of it.
Nice.
Little village, about 168 people.
Oh wow. That's
So
cool.
we have traffic jams all the time. We have two cars behind a combine, and we call that a traffic jam.
Sounds like a good place to me.
Yeah, that's you don't have it too often. When the combines are going between one field and next field, but that during harvest time, but
Yeah.
or planting season, but everything's got their plants in now. But yeah, it's kind of nice. There's not too far away. You're out in the middle of nowhere, and in fact, it's not unusual for us to hear gunshots going off, and they're just somebody target shooting, and my I don't have the thought like you would if I was in Omaha or Link or somebody, hear gunshots going on. I was like, all right, who's shooting what? What are they shooting at? My thoughts is, can I have your brass? Yeah,
That's
I
awesome.
reload. So it's like, okay, don't leave your brass on the ground. I want it.
Yeah,
Because I know it's
exactly.
not 22s because you can tell the difference in there. It's like, hey, can I have it?
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah, so we kind of got into your work, but let's kind of see what you're doing for your shooting in archery.
Yeah.
Are you doing tournaments or hunting or
I really like, I live a crazy life and I travel so much and I really don't get a lot of chance to actually shoot. When I was coaching it, like I actually did get a little bit of chance to do that. But the crazy part is when I'm traveling, um, it's just really difficult to maintain a consistent shooting schedule. So I don't really get a chance to do a lot of it. But and the crazy part is during hunting season is when all the big box stores want us to renew all the contracts and travel to see them. So
oh
it makes it
yeah.
kind of tough to get out there. So like September is usually one of the worst travel months for me. And then
Oh yeah.
yeah, like November, I'm in the Netherlands. December, I'm going to England. January is France and Vegas and ATA show, and like February is all kinds of other tournaments. It's just if you knew like what my life is like that way, it's just it's really tough,
Yeah.
but it is what it is.
Well, and you get a chance to shoot once in a while
Yeah,
and still get in there and
I do have my bow if you want to see it here.
oh yeah.
Well, I have plenty of them. Let me
Oh
get it.
yeah. I figured
Give
you
it.
probably did.
This is kind of cool. Even got so I went with I helped out the CEO of Hoyt with something, and he sent me a new bow, and I told him, I was like, man, you just sent me one last year, I don't need another one. But so yeah, this is the Stratus from Hoyt, but you can tell I've got like a silver knob here, got the blue, and then a red scope on the top there.
Now,
But I
which
kind of went
model
with
XL site is that you have on there?
the site is Achieve XP. So
Okay.
that's our tournament model. And really, it's basically if anybody's shooting one of our sites, it's typically like this specific Achieve. We do have a shorter one this year that's like this one's 3 inches, but we have 1.5 and 2 inches for people who are shooting more fixed pin tournaments. But this one will work for anything like out as far as redding even. So that's pretty cool that way. But yeah, then we got 31 millimeter scope is what I'm using, which is 1 3/8 of an inch. And then 41 is our other option. So for like somebody who's wanting 1 3/4, but and then I got this is my stabilizer here that we make. This it's called the Acclaim. It's got this piece, which we actually licensed some technology from Matthews with this rubber on the inside that's pressurized by some screws on the outside. And that really works really well. And then this right here is what we call a Cryptos Pro. It actually compresses rubber inside of that blue tube there. But you can see, I mean, I've got the whole like American flag pattern design that, that I'm
Yeah,
going with.
your sling is kind of cool.
Yeah. Yeah, this thing actually a friend named Ed Capshack actually made that for me. But you can see it's got the
Got a stripe of
actually the
red, stripe of
stars in there
white,
too.
several of them, then a blue field in there. So yeah, it kind
Yeah,
of reminds you, of a flag
it
and the
is.
bow being red helps out.
Exactly. And then I got the rest here I've got is one of the ones that are made by my uncle across the street here. Or about a mile from here. But yeah, so it's kind of crazy. That's my tournament bow. I have hunting bows and I do get out. I do go hunting, but not I've got a couple really good deer, but I can probably show you a couple of them up there on the wall.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I do all kinds of stuff. I've done Ironman triathlon stuff, like 140-mile triathlon and 2 years of training, and it took me like all 16 hours to finish it. Uh, yeah, I
Yeah.
do some crazy stuff.
Yeah, it sounds like it.
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't run anymore. It's too hard on my knees.
yeah, I can believe it. My dad always told me that I needed to stop, but he said I wouldn't be able to walk for very much longer, but it was kind
Yeah,
of
yeah, well, when you're an athlete and you do, I did competitive roller skating as well as martial arts and everything else. And, you kind of beat your body up
yeah.
and now I'm kind of paying for it, but you know what? I wish I'd have done more,
Nice. Oh yeah, and I forgot I got these arrows with the American flag blazer veins on them. So
Oh yeah. Get the whole American theme.
heck yeah. So yeah, that was fun.
Yeah, that's been real interesting, hearing all those stories and finding out more about the True Ball products and Excel products. And we didn't
Yeah,
really go too much into the sites, but just releases. But
yeah,
it's kind of nice that you're that, and then your uncle has QAD, and
yeah.
those. Anybody in archery knows QAD, and they have
Right.
some outstanding equipment, and
Yeah.
and it's always nice to talk to these different people and whatnot. And so, what would you tell somebody that's thinking about getting started in archery?
Yeah.
What would you tell them to do, and how would you recommend them outfitting?
I used to get that question a lot from little kids, and I would always kind of point them to the Matthews Genesis or, some of those grow with you bows that are out there. There's the Diamond Infinite Edge, and I think Bear has one now. And but those are pretty decent places for kids to start. But I don't know. I would today probably tell people that there's a couple really good brands like Hoyt, Matthews, PSE, and several others that have like low end to mid range bows. I don't know what the price tag is today because inflation's hit, and so I haven't been out there to
Right,
see what they're doing, but it used to be about a $600 to $800 bow that would get you really, really well off. And the last time I went down to the pro shop here about 2 months ago to look at bows, I was looking for a friend of mine. But they had one down there. I forget the brand. It was kind of a lower end brand, but it looked like a really great bow. And but they had a whole kit that they would start you with the sight and release and the stabilizer and everything for a pretty good price. And that's probably where I would start people, just doing something simple in that price range and go with a brand like you say, like PSE that you've been shooting them since 2001 and the same bow, so it must be
yeah.
doing something right. I've shot Hoyt for a long time, and Matthews has sent me a couple bows recently that I've really enjoyed. Very, very good with vibration. But I don't know. There's some really, really good quality bows out there that and go to a pro shop because they'll set you up the right way and they'll set the bow up for you as opposed to if a lot of people will nowadays will buy stuff off Amazon or something like that, and it's just like a lot of times like what I've seen, even it can be counterfeit. It might not even be the real thing, so it's
Right.
kind of crazy. I've been dealing with that lately, so just something it's crazy.
But and I seen one advertised on, I forget it where it was at now, and it's only been shot a few times, and I'm looking at this, knowing what I'm looking for. The string is worn out.
Yeah.
This is shot more than a few times because this string is worn out. Even
Yeah.
if you didn't wax it, it still takes a few months of
Oh yeah.
serious shooting.
I was going to show you if I can find them. Yeah, they're right here. This is none of these that I'm about to show you are real true ball releases. This is, even though it might look exactly like a true ball release,
Yeah.
it has our logos on it, but that was one that was made in China, and it's a absolute what they call a counterfeit. There's another one. Like it's in what looks like our packaging and everything.
Right.
It's just like one, but it's not the real thing. So there's a lot of them. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of them in this pouch from 7 different sources from all over the world. So, and we're trying to stop it as much as we can, but it's just a really, really difficult losing battle. We pay $2,000 to monitor it per month. And then we're like only able to scratch the surface of what's out there. So you got to be really, really careful with what you're getting online. It's
Yeah,
getting crazy out there.
because if they fail, things can happen that you don't want to happen.
Yeah.
I don't know if anybody in the audience has ever had a release fail. I have.
Yeah.
It was a release back when I first started. I got this release and it seemed pretty nice. And I'm drawn back and I'm about halfway back and the head of the release broke. It
Oh,
went flying about 25, 30 yards down the range. And of course, doing that, it sent the arrow up. I sent the arrow through the ductwork in the at the range.
yeah.
And I go up and I found it and I found the end of it and I looked at it. And there's the part that screwed into, and then it narrowed down and got wider for the little knob on there. It was so thin on that aluminum that it was a weak point. Now I was shooting
Wow.
70 pounds, but it should have been handled 70 pounds.
Yeah.
And so a machinist friend of mine made that new part a little bit more stout.
Yeah.
I have 2 of them, but you'd never guess what the brand name of what the release was.
Oh, yeah. I don't know.
Fail safe.
Oh, really?
That was the name on the side of it. Fail safe.
Yeah.
Not even a brand name. So that's what
That's
can
rough.
happen. And fortunately, when it broke, my hand didn't come back and smack myself in the mouth.
Oh, wow.
Because when you're drawn back, what happens? You're drawn back to your anchor point, which is at your mouth. It could have come back and it could have hit. I could have hit my face with it.
Yeah.
And that's why, if it seems too cheap, if you're selling a release for $50 and somebody's selling it online for $20, unless you're selling it through eBay on an auction, it's going to be a fake. Because
Exactly.
nobody's going to sell a $50 release for $20 and saying it's brand new.
Right. Exactly.
Because that's below wholesale price.
Exactly.
$50 release, say, wholesale's 35. I'm just picking numbers. Don't know what they are.
Yeah.
And I might sell it for 40 because I'm still making profit, but I'm not going to sell it for a loss.
Right.
Unless
Exactly.
I'm trying to clearance things out.
Yeah.
If I'm closing a store, then I'm going to sell it for whatever, just to sell it.
Right.
And so if it's too cheap, it's probably too cheap for a reason.
Buyer beware. Yeah. Exactly.
That's right. And spend the money and go to your local store or order from, if you're the local store, you don't have one close by, you have to pretty much drive 100 miles or whatever.
Yeah.
Drive the 100 miles.
Yeah.
And go try them out because the releases are completely different.
Yeah. It's very.
No 2 releases feel the same in your hand.
Exactly.
So you've got to try them out. And a lot of your stores will have the firing line. We can actually draw them back and practice shooting them. And that's what you want to do. And you can't do that online.
Exactly.
And if you know what they are, if you know what you're looking for, like I have a release, I want the exact same release. I can just order, from the store, the exact same release. So I don't have to drive 100 miles. So I know what I want. But if I'm trying out new ones, I've had some that, it's like, yeah, I don't like the way this feels.
Yeah.
It's just too much movement, or it just feels weird in your hand. And you can't do that if you don't actually go there and try them.
Exactly.
And most of your stores are going to have some way to try them, either shooting a regular bow.
Yeah.
And, and I tell people when I was doing it and we'd get the bows, I'd have them pick out, bow, feel good in your hand, and then go from there. And I'd crank the draw weight all the way down to the minimum draw weight for it and set it to the draw weight. Because we're not trying to see how much we can pull. We're trying to see how much we like the bow.
Exactly.
And I even got down to, well, okay, here's this bow, close your eyes. I'm going to put it in your hand. We're going to hook you up and you're going to shoot it. Eyes closed, the whole process.
Yeah.
Now, no, we're not too far away from the backstop, so we're not missing it. And I'm standing there so nobody can walk in front of them. And then, okay, take that bow, give them the next bow, shoot it. Which one you like better and why? The why, I don't care what the why is. I just want them to tell what it is.
Exactly.
And you're going to feel a difference with your eyes closed that you will not feel with your eyes open.
Yeah, exactly.
And even now, you know, some experience you have and I have in shooting bows, we can feel that difference because we just quit aiming. We just kind of go through and let our mind just kind of, our focus just kind of blur, and we're not really focusing on anything because we're just feeling how the bow feels. You know, we do that, but still much easier. Just close your eyes and see how it feels. And, you know, that's one of the things that, you know, you got to shoot them to try them.
Yeah. That's the truth.
I had way back, probably 20 years ago now, when PSC bought Browning Archery, the archery part of it.
Yep.
They come out with a bow that had counter rotating cams.
Oh wow.
Yeah, the top cam, one rotated clockwise and kind of rotated opposite directions.
Wow.
And I says, oh, now this is kind of cool. You know, no big deal making strings because I make strings. So I set it up. Did not like the way it felt when I was shooting it. So I'm trying. Nope, not the bow for me because I just can't make it feel right for me. And I wanted to shoot it. And I was like, I wanted, because I was so cool. It was different. I wanted to shoot it. It just would not work. And you won't know that if you don't go try them and shoot them.
That's the truth.
And, you know, like you go into, you know, and I don't know, Walmart even sells any bows anymore around here, but when they sold them, you can't try them.
Yeah.
You just go grab the bow. It's like, I want this one. Then you go to the pro shop and find out it's not even the right handed bow for you. It's the wrong hand.
Exactly.
And now then you got to take it back, or the draw weight's wrong. Or you bought way underspined arrows, which means they're going to break on you. And a broken arrow means an arrow shaft through your arm or hand.
Yeah, that's not anything anybody wants.
Yeah, I'm sure glad we got away from the overdraws on bows.
Yeah.
You may or may not remember when they had overdraws.
I do remember them. Yeah, I had several overdraws.
That arrow is back behind your hand.
Yeah.
You know, it's back by your wrist. And I actually seen a guy when I was at Bass Pro, I think it was, come in and he was talking about, you know, when they had the overdraws, he has a scar in between his index finger and his thumb, a 3-sided scar.
Oh my gosh.
The arrow fell off the rest. He did not know it until after he pulled the trigger.
Ouch. Oh my
God. Shot
it
through his hand.
Wow. That's rough.
Yeah, that's why when I set up an arrow, I want it long enough at full draw that tip is in front of your hand. So if it falls off, it's over on your arm.
Yeah.
And not going to go through your hand, and just safety. And then you got your broadhead. If it's too short, you can get your finger. You know, I've seen people with that finger sticking up there pretty high. And with a broadhead, you're going to slice your finger.
Yeah.
You know, safety.
Yeah, exactly.
Safety number one, and just keep that in mind. And you have a weapon that can hurt you as well as it does at the other end.
Exactly.
Just ask the person who stands behind somebody pulling arrows out of a target. Get smacked with that knock.
Oh yeah. Yeah, they say that's the worst injury that most people, like if you're going to have an archery injury, that's the one, is just pulling the arrow into your thigh or pulling them into your like leg or like eye if you're not doing it the right way. But
that's why I always stand beside it.
Yeah.
Just like using a table saw, stand behind, don't stand behind it, stand beside it, because sooner or later that's going to come back at you.
Yeah, I got to run pretty soon. My son just broke into my office here. Set up for his birthday party, but we're doing the Outlaw Olympics, so I got my cowboy hat on and I got my cowboy boots and everything else. So should be pretty cool.
Yeah, it's been great talking with you.
Yeah,
I'll leave a description, a link to the True Ball website for anybody that wants to go out there. Make it easy, just go out there. You know, if you want a good quality release.
Yeah,
you know, True Ball's got them. There's, you know, one of the names that I trust in releases is True Ball, and you know, there's a few other high name ones, but
Oh yeah,
you know, I
definitely
would
good
stay with the
ones.
name brand. And you know, I look at it. If you got $1,000, spend no more than half on your bow, and the other 25% on arrows, and the other 25% on a release. Spend the money on a release. Get the straightest arrows you can, because straight arrows are tighter groups.
Yep.
Spend the money on a release.
Yeah.
And I tell you that, you know, in guns with a scope, buy the most expensive. You spend as much on the scope as you did the gun.
Yeah.
And the same thing here. Spend the money on release, because you're going to be much happier than getting the other one and you buy it one time. And like I say, buy once, cry once.
Yeah.
Buy the cheap one. You're constantly buying new ones. It's like, how come I can't get a good group? It's like, because the trigger moves 2 inches before it goes off, and you
Yeah.
feel it moving, and you quit aiming. Because
Yeah.
after all, if you're thinking about the trigger, what are you not doing? You're not aiming.
Yeah.
If you're not aiming, what are you going to hit?
Nothing.
Don't know. You're not aiming. You're just pointing.
Yeah. Yeah.
But we've all done that. Shoot at a deer,
Exactly.
forget to aim, just point and miss.
Yep. Yep.
Well, yeah. Get to your party, and
Sounds good.
I know we'll talk later, and it's been really great talking with you, and
You too.
I know we've got a lot of good people in the group that can help you out. So just join the Archery Talk 101 group if you're not already a member, and you know, we're here to help you. You're not going to be sold anything. Just question, ask it. Like I always say, the only dumb question you have is the one you haven't asked yet. Because once you ask it, it's not a dumb question.
Yep.
Sometimes we might give you a dumb answer just because we're being, you know, rats, but but no, we'll be serious, give you serious answers, and you know, upload videos, and we'll critique your videos. If problems with your bow setup, take some pictures, let us know. We'll help you out.
That's awesome.
So once again, my name is Roy Canterbury, and I've been your host today on Archery Talk 101.